Hey there guys, my name is Blake, also known as The Nerd, and here it is, your questions answered. Thank you guys for submitting all your questions, it is greatly appreciated, and as I mentioned in the ending, I can't wait to get to your questions. These are actually some pretty good ones, so I'm just gonna jump right into them. First question comes to us from Zeno77 on the Discord server on the Patreon exclusive chat. He asks, when do you think your first live stream would be? And if you've done a live stream, then what device do you use it on? I have done live streams in the past, mostly YouTube. That's where I've done a Mario and Sonic London Olympic Games live stream like years ago before any of this happened. I also did a randomized Crystal Kanto playthrough live, but I guess that didn't really caught on. But I've also used Twitch as well for some Miku stuff. I've also done a live stream over on Twitch to help with Charity Water. A lot of you may not know this, but there was a charity live stream called Leap for Charity Water, and I was involved with this. So that is pretty cool, but I mostly use YouTube for live streams, and I probably will since that's where most of my audience is. I'm probably going to butcher your last name here, but Vincent Marandola, I think I pronounced that right, asks, not on the Q&A but the finale of Kirby Squeak Squad, but I figured I'd put this in anyways. When are you doing a new Let's Play? For those who are actually interested in wanting to know when the Let's Play is, I'm currently processing ideas for it. It probably will not be coming out until summer, mostly because finals are coming up. But just know I am still working on them. I still need to work on the video icons and just some ideas really of how I want to go about the Let's Play that I'm currently thinking of. Don't worry, there is one though, but again, it'll probably be just over the summer. Gaming Girl Aya asks, first, I want to say I really love your channel and congrats on 6K subs, you deserve it. Thank you, greatly appreciate it. Now, question, sorry if it's stupid, but what's your spirit animal? Oof. Honestly, I never thought I'd be thinking about my spirit animal. I know it means like something you're kind of related to in sorts. This is honestly a really hard one, I can't even think of one right now. I guess my spirit animal will be a bear, just because not only is it gentle, but it also can be rough at times, but, well, I guess not technically wild bears, but you know, bears and zoos, you know what I mean. But I guess a combination of a zoo bear and a bear. Just a bear in general, they're really soft and can be really big, they can be really gentle, but they can be really rough, and most importantly, they can survive the cold with what they have on. And trust me, I lived in the cold for years, and I'm able to just walk outside with a t-shirt, sweater, and pants on, and people would be kind of confused if they didn't live where I was. Plus, my hometown's animal is a bear, so I blended with my hometown! Woohoo! And Imagination asks, do you know Kingdom Hearts? If so, how much of a fan are you? First up, who doesn't know what Kingdom Hearts is? Pretty much have to be living under a rock to not know what Kingdom Hearts is. Secondly, I'd say I'm a fan. I'm somewhere along the lines of going to be a big fan, but that's because I haven't really played the game in a while. The last game in the Kingdom Hearts series I've played was Dream Drop Distance, but I have purchased both the 2.8 and the 1.5 and 2.5 HD remakes on the PS4, and when I do get the chance, thankfully over the summer, I should be able to play those and finally see what it's like to play the whole series. And once I have that, I will be super hyped for Kingdom Hearts 3. Not that I'm already... It's not saying that I'm not hyped for Kingdom Hearts 3, is that I want to get even more hyped, so playing the games will hopefully help me out with that. Toxieon asks, first off, let me know if that's the correct way to pronounce it, because I honestly do not know. Hey man, I subbed only recently, but your content is absolutely awesome. Aw, thank you once again. And I do have some questions. First off, will you be playing Project Diva Extend, because it's awesome? Here's the thing about that one. I know for a fact that that game is exclusive to the PSP, which I don't even have a capture card for. I'm actually saving up for a 3DS capture card. And I also know there's an extended version on like the PS3, and even though it is easy to buy the PS3, I think relatively cheap now, because there's not a lot of PS3 games still made today. I say that, and Cars 3 was just announced for PS3, which is weird. PS3, why would you make a game for PS3 when it's been dead for years? I will never know. But cost-wise, because I would have to import it, and just importing Diva Extend, I don't know how much it is to like import it from like Japan and whatnot, but I imagine it's not cheap. On top of that, the only reason I did Diva X as a playthrough is because I kind of have a story mode, Whereas if I did something like that, I probably wouldn't have as much to do as, say, Diva X. Not that I'm saying Diva Extend is not good because it doesn't have a story. Most rhythm games don't have good stories, unless you count DDR Mario Mix. In that case, it's the only rhythm game I know that actually has a story. And second question, will you answer my first question? I mean, maybe. I don't know if I would want to answer. I mean, do I feel like answering it? Because I don't know really if I want to answer the first question, to be honest. MM asked a few questions. First one is regarding New Flint No Fridays. He asked what's going on with the series. Hopefully you're a he first off. I'm very glad that someone was honest enough to speak up about what happened to the series. For those of you who don't know, Fridays was not just for Mini 3.9, it was also New Flint No Fridays. So the reason there hasn't been that many episodes is because I have not been getting enough submissions for the show to keep continuing, and I honestly love if this series would continue because it is creative. I guess it's one of the main reasons why my channel got so popular back in the days, but I guess because Flipnote Studio is kind of dead to some people, I can understand why, but at the same time it's like, there is still creative people out there, and I still want to get them exposed. On top of that, I don't just want to take footnotes from Pseudo Memo, when clearly there's some footnotes still out there that are on other people's channels and whatnot, so it's kind of complicated. But I do mostly want to have original content on there, so please, I don't want to do this, but there is a deadline. If I do not get any more Flipnote submissions by the end of this month, which you can submit them to newflipnotefridays@gmail.com, the series may be on a long hiatus until I can get enough episodes or Flipnotes to continue the show, because without those submissions, there is no show at all. Sad to say, but that's kind of the truth. Alongside that, he also asked my favorite Pokemon game. Ooh, that is a really hard one. I don't know, it's kind of a mix, it's kind of a tie between Sun and Moon, just because there's so many improvements they made over the years, and it's something completely different compared to, like, the other games are just take on the gyms, take on the Elite Four. Here, yes, you still take on the Elite Four, spoilers, but there's trials, there's actually a decent story to it. There's also Pokemon Black and White, which the story is fantastic, and then there's Red and Blue, which I guess for nostalgia purposes. But out of those three, gosh dang it, why is it this one of all things? I'm honestly gonna have to say Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal, just because of that, not only that nostalgic factor that I mentioned with Red and Blue, but it brought together two great regions. On top of that, the Pokemon designs back when they were introduced were great, and it just led to many amazing things for the series. Also, favorite Pokemon. Okay, this might be a little bit obvious, you guys might have seen it on the channel icons and the intro and whatnot, but it is Mewtwo. I guess I haven't really explained so much as to why I like Mewtwo, or why Mewtwo's my favorite. I've seen movies, his movie, Pokemon the first movie, and back then I thought he was a really cool guy, nothing really too special, but I guess I didn't really fall in love with him until I actually used him in like 4th generation games and 5th generation games, because honestly, I never was able to catch Mewtwo in the Gen 1s or its remakes or anything like that. In fact, I think when I tried to catch Mewtwo, when I first encountered it, I didn't have any balls because I used the Master Ball to Weezing. Funny story! But once I actually started catching Mewtwo and using it, that's when I actually fell in love with it. It is so good. On top of that, its Mega Evolutions are great, and it's... there's so much to praise about it, but I don't want to ramble on about me praising it all this much. Favorite Vocaloid song? This is regarding any Vocaloids, right? Well, in that case, it's Hand in Hand from KZ Live Tune. I just love the message that it has in it. I understand a little bit of Japanese, so I can't really fully describe the moral of the song, but I think it's just beautiful for what it sounds like. Plus, on top of that, the beats, the rhythm, the tempo, the instruments used, it just complements the song so well. I don't think any other format could actually do the songs justice. Unless it's orchestrated. I'd love to hear Hand in Hand orchestrated. And finally, his last question is favorite Disney movie. Favorite Disney movie is definitely Mulan. It used to be The Lion King growing up, mostly because that was the movie I watched the most. But looking back at it as an adult, Mulan has some really amazing and honest to God efforts put into it. Like, you can tell by the animations, they were trying to make it crisp and clean. They were trying to make it interesting. I love the Psychic Motion that. Although Mulan 2, I'm not really the biggest fan of. And yet, I've watched that so many times as a kid. Why did I watch Mulan 2 as a kid? I regret that now. On top of that, the story is great. I love the character developments. There is some good humor in it too, and the sidekicks in the story, aside from Mushu and Quirky, are just hilarious. It's just everything I love about a Disney movie, and I think it's probably one of the most underrated Disney movies out there, but aside from Oliver and Company, which has Billy Joel. Why do you hate a movie that has Billy Joel? You don't do that. Zekarat LP has a few questions. He first asks, what was the first game I played? From what I've been told and from what I slightly remember, it's Duck Hunt on the NES. Because I grew up with a family that, well, they weren't very technical and they didn't really have a lot of play experience in games. They were, I guess, sort of hunters, so it kind of makes sense that they would have Duck Hunt just for practice and whatnot. Again, it's kind of like that nostalgia that I don't quite remember. Second question is, when did you first get into Hatsune Miku? That is a really good question. Basically, it's the same as probably other people that might have gotten into Miku at some point. There was that video of that live concert, and it looked pretty cool. I thought it was from a video game at first, but so did everyone else, and eventually it led to me listening to a few songs and playing Project Diva F on demos, both on Best Buy and GameStop. In fact, that was the only PS3 demo I've ever played. When the PS3 was like a thing and there were demos of it, that was the only game I ever played. Eventually, when it came down to 2015, 2016, that's when I actually got on Miku. That's when I actually started playing the games for the first time. And I guess, really looking back at it and putting it in a nutshell, it was basically just the games that have gotten me into the Miku series and helped me discover more of like Miku songs and whatnot. I feel like without those games, I probably would not be as much of a Miku fan as I would be. Although my favorite Vocaloid would be Luca. And final question is, my top 5 favorite Let's Plays. Good gosh. This is one I actually need to look back at and see like the different kinds of things that I've done. In fact, I'm gonna do that real quick. And the 5th one I have to say is Disney's Party. I know, licensed game is like my 5th favorite Let's Play of all time, but I've done licensed games before Miku. But it honestly was an honor to be, I think, the first person to play through the game, even though technically there was like one episode that had like one part and the other part was missing because I accidentally deleted it. I think it was really fun just to get all informal and be the first person to actually do so and to give out all this information, because honestly no one cares about those kind of licensed games, and I will agree with everyone that Disney Party is kind of terrible. Not kind of terrible, just terrible, period. The 4th one is gonna go to probably one of the longest running Let's Plays on the channel, the Super Mario Galaxy Redux. And in the end, the last parts of the playthrough, I kind of rushed out because I was like, you know what, I need to get this done, I want to do another playthrough, Project Diva X is coming out and I want to do it. So it was kind of, guess not really rushed, but sort of a more sped up process. But in the beginning, it was really nice because I actually wanted to make the original Galaxy Let's Play a lot better. So I had someone come in and voice over Rosalina, but because I couldn't get the voice actor or voice actress for all that while, I had to do the voice herself. So the beginning parts were really nice, but there were some technical issues, like, again, long delaying the Let's Play because I couldn't get the freaking lines done. I had to do it myself. But there was also problems with my computer, my old computer, not this one that I'm using right now, which is I don't know what it's called, a Strix laptop. So that was kind of the problem there with that one as well. Eventually, I got the new laptop and it worked wonders, and I was able to actually finish up the playthrough, which was really nice. 3rd one, I have to say, is the Fairly Oddparents Shadow Showdown. Looking back at those, I find very few flaws, and normally I find a lot of flaws. I think the only real problem with the series is the first episode. That is so cringeworthy. How the freak did the first episode get over 100k views when none of the other ones, which are honestly better, they have less views than the first episode, which has cringeworthy moments. And I mean, sure, it's the first episode, and first episodes usually tend to get more views than the other episodes aside from the finale, but still, it kind of leaves a scar in the Let's Play when your first one's really cringeworthy. But as I look back in it years and years later, I've come to appreciate the content and the quality that was put into each and every episode and how humorous it could be. And granted, yes, it wasn't really for families because it had some language at some point, but it was an older game, so it was like, kind of balanced out, you know? For number 2, it's kind of a two-way tie between two of my most popular Nuzlocke, which were both randomizers, and those are the black randomizer Nuzlocke and the white 2 randomizer Nuzlocke. For granted, if I had to choose between the two of them, I'd honestly have to say the black randomizer Nuzlocke, but I love white 2 just as much. Looking back at those, the graphics that I did for them are honestly probably some of my favorite ones I've done, especially white 2's layout with the ice and whatnot. It is really cool. No pun intended, but I'm glad I kind of made a pun at the same time. And on top of that, it was just kind of really fun to explore what it's like not only to do Nuzlocks, which I've done in Avatar Lock before then, but it was also kind of fun to see what the randomizer had in store for me. And both of those times, it was a blast. If I could do those over again, I totally would. Just not redoing them, but just to kind of go back and see how it would be different again, because randomizers are always different, so it is always fun to see what else could be in store. And my favorite Let's Play on this channel, a lot of people will be like, well, this is completely obvious, Hatsune Miku Project Diva X playthrough. Granted, yes, it was blind, and looking back at it, there are just teeny tiny nitpicks I can think about. There was honestly no flaws with that Let's Play. I loved every single moment of it, and looking back at it, I just leave with a smile on my face. I wouldn't say it's rare, but it's uncommon for me to look back at playthroughs with a smile on my face. And though that Let's Play alone is definitely that Let's Play that made me smile throughout all these years, I'm very glad I've done Diva X. Granted, yes, I had to go through some copyright claims and had to edit some songs so I didn't get like blocked not worldwide, but like in 4 countries back then. Now it's 5 because South Korea apparently has been added. I don't know why, but South Korea's added. But despite that, it was worth it. I gained back some of my popularity that I had back in 2013 when I was like on the peak of popularity. So if you're wondering about the thousands of subs, probably a lot of them came from 2013. And I honestly believe if it wasn't for that, I probably would be stuck with the low views that I got. I think because of that, I've gained confidence in myself again to start doing Let's Plays. And I'm really excited to be bringing some more Let's Plays over the summer. So yeah, thank you Sega and Krypton for making a game that helped me bring back my Let's Playing vibe. Without it, I'd be nothing. Drawing Ignatius. I recognize you, buddy. What's up? Long time no see. He asks, what are my thoughts on the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and or the Switch? First off, I want to talk about the Switch because, my gosh, it is everything I had hoped for when it was first announced. It is fantastic. It gives you much more reasons to play my bag, granted. I've not been able to play it on the go as it's kind of intended to, but I've been able to switch it back and forth. Switch it back and forth from the television to handheld, and the quality differences in that is so good. On top of that, the controllers by itself, the Joy-Cons by itself, are kind of small. That's like my only complaint with it because I have really large hands. When I found out it was actually kind of small, I was kind of worried, and I have every right to be worried because my hands are big. But when it's connected together on like the Joy-Con controller, dang it, I forgot the name. It feels really comfortable. It really does. I love the Switch right now. It probably has to be one of my favorite consoles at the moment. GameCube definitely is my favorite, but this is probably going to be like tied with the Wii U for second favorite. Maybe it might actually outbeat the Wii U if it actually brings some really good games, which it sounds like it is. As for Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, I have posted my thoughts on the video. You can check it out right now in the eye in the top right corner, or in the description if I remember to put that in the description, because, well, let's be honest, I forget things all the time, am I right? But from what I have played, even after that video, beautiful. It is amazing. It is gorgeous. I love this idea of open-minded. That has never been really in Zelda games, unless you count the original Legend of Zelda as open-ended, which I guess it kind of is when you think about it. But if it is open-ended, it's like the first time in a while I've gone back to that. And just being able to explore Hyrule, do these so many things, and being able to craft your own stuff, it's honestly a great experience. It's a little difficult, yes, I will say that, but I think at the end it's really worth it. So good. Oh yeah, thank you also for the reminder that I need to play it, because things like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe have existed, and that's eaten up most of my time. FMM Vanguard asks, you deserve way more than 6k subs. Your content, along with Stephen Plays and Super Genius when he actually uploads, are what I can count on to always brighten up my day. First off, huge honor that you would put me with Stephen Plays and Super Genius, some of my favorite Let's Players of all time. As far as the deserving way more than 6k, I mean, there's some moments where I feel like I do deserve it, but, you know, some people get the short end of the stick, and I get it, but I'm pretty happy with the short end of the stick, don't get me wrong. The first question is, what made you want to start this channel and Let's Playing in general? First off, for the channel, has a weird history as to why I started it. It's not out of boredom, although that's part of the reasons why, but another reason was because before I did Let's Playing, before I met these incredible people, before I started making money off the stuff that I do, I made AMV videos on another channel. I remember the name of it though, it was called Savangoose. And yes, before, there's some people out there, I did make AMVs before I did these sort of videos. The Let's Plays, that is. I would eventually try to continue making AMVs until I found a channel by the name of John Carlo Paramango 11, as well as several other Pokemon channels like Uton, Gigalem, was it? I think it was Gigalem, I can't really remember. Giga Titan, that's what it was. Giga Titan. How did I forget Giga Titan? I remember Uton, but not Giga Titan, that's weird. And I remember seeing all these Pokemon content, and that kind of changed my mind to doing AMVs, to doing stuff like Let's Plays. And that's kind of an interesting twist on how the channel was born to be. The plus the channel name before it was Blake the Nerd, HGS's 1994, which had a meaning for Heart Gold and Soul Silver in 1994, was kind of the reasons why I did play a Let's Play channel instead of an AMV channel. And honestly, I'm really glad I did a Let's Play instead of an AMV channel. Otherwise, this channel would probably not have been here because copyright strikes are a pain in the butt. Second question is, what have been some of the biggest hurdles in running this channel? I mean, there's the copyright issues, alongside Minute39, there are things like having to edit songs to make sure the video doesn't get blocked, or having it separate on a separate channel or separate site, like I use VidMe for example. But I think the biggest hurdle when making the channel, or continuing the channel, is trying to be consistent as possible, because there are moments still that, even though I still have the energy and the motivation to do Let's Plays, I still have those moments where I'm either so busy that I can't even record or edit or whatnot. There is also some points where I'm just like kind of tired and lazy, to put it nicely for myself, where I don't want to edit any videos or upload anything like that. So I think that's the main issue, is just consistency, really is all it narrows it down to. And lastly, what are all the equipment, programs, etc. you use to make a video? I have a few capture cards I use, actually by that I mean only a couple, for GameCube, N64, PlayStation 2 stuff, even though I've never done really anything with PlayStation 2 before, but hopefully that'll change soon. I use my old Asus computer alongside a capture card. A lot of you might have heard of it, and probably will be raising your eyebrows as to why I still use it, but the Dazzle. I'm still getting ways to make buy a converter to convert the composite videos to an HDMI, so that I can easily put that on my Elgato, which is what I use to record other consoles like the Switch, the PS4, the Wii U, and hopefully soon the Xbox 360. I don't really know about that yet. As for the programs I used, I have used Sony Vegas for a while, but recently I started using Adobe Premiere. I also use Photoshop for my icons and editing skills and whatnot. Well, not Photoshop for editing skills, but Premiere for editing skills. And I've been using the free trials, not hacked or anything like that, because I know hacking that gives you like viruses. But I've done ways where you can mess the numbers up on the trial mode, where you can get like 7 more days, and then I've been using that. And honestly, it's probably one of the better programs to use when it comes to editing videos. It's simple, it's easy to use once you like understand the concepts of it, but there's still many things to learn about it, so it's a learning progress. So it's a fun journey nonetheless. Miguel Ramirez asks, I don't know if someone already asked you this, but who inspired you to start doing Let's Plays? Actually, there's a couple people, but the first one was only minor and only affected like the Pokemon side of how I did things. The first one was Giancarlo Paramigo 11. I mentioned this already, but he was the reason I started doing Pokemon content before getting to actual Let's Plays. He also, again, got me out of the AMV vibe and got me into doing gameplay content. As I progressed more and more with the gameplay-wise, I came across some videos from Chuka Conroy, and obviously that's where my biggest influence of Let's Playing began, because I remember seeing his Pokemon Crystal stuff in 2010, and I got really inspired to do sort of his style more than just the style that I was used to seeing back then. So, without Chuka Conroy, I probably would have a completely different style than I normally would have. So I have to say the biggest influence for me was Chuka Conroy. Oh yeah, also fun fact, when I was younger and still doing Let's Plays, people thought I sounded like Chuka Conroy. Now people are saying I sound like Proton John. It's weird how the word works, right? And finally, James Williams asks, have you ever considered animating? The simple answer is yes. In fact, for the longest time, I've wanted to be a character designer for Pixar, because back then I loved 3D animation. I loved so much of the details you can do with 3D that you can do in 2D. And I kind of wanted to focus my life around that, but that quickly went away easily when I learned that 3D animation is a lot more complicated than you think. I mean, it looks easier done from companies like Disney and DreamWorks, but it honestly is complicated. Like, if you don't know the programs, it is very complicated. But I have done other forms of animation. I've done claymation and paper animation in a camp that I went to, special animation camp, I guess I'd call it. But I've also done 2D animations on Flipnote Studio and Flipnote Studio 3D, which I guess was my main influence for a lot of 3D stuff. But I guess as time went on, and I soon realized that animation is a little more complicated than I thought it was, I moved on to pursue a career in music, because that's actually a special skill that I have, a special talent in singing, and I figured why not improve on something I'm already good at and make it even better if possible. And that is every single question answered. I want to take some time to thank you guys for submitting questions. If you have submitted questions, these were really fun to answer, and I'm very glad I decided to do this for my 6K special. And of course, thank you guys again so much for 6K subs. It means the world to me. And thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you guys in my next video. Take care.